a martial arts movie podcast.
I threw that shit before I walked in the room.
Featuring drunken Thai boxer Will.
Too bad you will die.
The also drunken wrestler Mark.
I said I don't want trouble.
And drunken karate master Zero.
You've lost your balls.
And now,
Call. I know Kung Fu. You know, baby.
Fists of Fail. Happy New Year's, everyone!
Wait, what?
Happy
Chinese New Year.
Yes, Zero. I mean, yes, it is Chinese New Year. Gong Hei Fa Choi to anyone who's listening, or whatever. The reason why I'm starting off this episode that way is because it is Chinese New Year at the time of this recording, 2022. But the movie that we're talking about today is another movie that was released for New Year's, Chinese New Year of 1999. Yeah, okay. There's a connection to everything. Yeah, I see everything was nicely organized. So, Zero, what movie we're talking about today?
We are talking about Jackie Chan's 1999 film, Gorgeous.
Yeah.
An ugly movie. Just kidding.
I see what you did there.
Or am I?
Opposite of Gorgeous. I don't know. Yeah, Gorgeous. What is our theme this month, Zero? It's February, so what could we possibly have thought of?
I don't know. we're like grasping at straws sometimes here for themes, but we decided that what did we do last year again?
It was Black History Month.
Okay, yes. Last year we did Black History Month, and at the end of the month we realized like it was kind of hard to find some martial arts films starring, African American men or women that we could really talk about in terms of like breaking down the fights.
Right, that wouldn't just be a whole month of Michael Jai White. Basically.
Exactly, yeah. Maybe next year we'll do that. Let us know.
Sure. There should be like January. January. So yeah, this month we're celebrating Valentine's month. And what better way to start this month off than a pure romance movie? Right?
Yeah, so the idea is we're trying to do romance films that have martial arts or martial arts films that has a prominent romantic plot, right? Storyline.
Yes. You listeners, you don't understand how like difficult it can be sometimes to come up with these themes and then follow through with them. I'm sure this is going to be a train wreck. But this first one, I think, not so bad. Not so bad in terms of like fitting both of those categories. This weird gimmick that we have.
Right. It's almost like 50-50 because, yes, the main gist of this story is a romance story. It's a romance plot through and through, but they put in so much action. Well, maybe not so much, but there's enough action where you could be tricked into thinking like, by the end of it, you're like, oh, okay, that was a lot of fighting. I'm happy. Like, I forget about all this stupid romance stuff.
Yes. Stupid romance stuff. That sums up the movie pretty well. Right?
What's this movie about, Will?
Oh, boy. All right, I'll talk about it. It's, man, I'm gonna state it without putting my opinion in as much as possible. Gorgeous is about Shuqi. Suke, I think is her Cantonese name, who is a very famous actress from the 90s, been in a lot of movies, did some softcore things early on in her years, but as she got on, like progressed in her career, very, like one of the more like prolific, like more well-known actresses in Hong Kong, the Hong Kong sphere. But she plays a simpleton?
I thought you were going to...
I'm not sure, but it's so hard not to... Okay, what? She plays a lovelorn simpleton. She plays a lovelorn character who, like, just fantasizes about falling in love. And that is her whole character. So she's trying her hardest to, like, find the love of her life. So she believes that, like, if a message in a bottle, cue the police music, comes to her, it. Well, she gets a message in a bottle. She reads it.
She literally gets a message in a bottle.
Yes, and it doesn't say SOS. She goes to Hong Kong, where she's originally from Taiwan. She goes to Hong Kong because she believes that she'll find her true love who sent the message. Turns out that wasn't the case. It was Tony Leung just fucking around. Tony Leung's in the movie, by the way.
And he's gay.
Yeah, it's an important plot point in this movie. It's not like Pantyhose Hero, but whatever. So Shu-Chi, like, she, arrived for Hong Kong for no reason, but she just so happens to meet Jackie Chan. that's the story. That's the rest of the story.
And it's about them, I guess, it goes in your typical romantic story route where they meet each other, they start to slowly fall in love with each other as they begin to learn more and more about their quirks and characteristics. And at the end, it's supposed to be, hey, like, everything that we've been through, it brought us closer together. I'm finally able to admit that I love you, yada, yada, yada. All those tropes that I guess people kind of get sick of. But this is the 90s, so... And then this is Hong Kong, so, like, they're kind of playing up to that as well. So,
yes.
Like, I don't want to be so hard on it. I didn't know this was a Chinese New Year movie, but as I started to see all the cameos and realize, like, oh, maybe this is the case. And then now that you told me that, I think it makes sense that they're playing to a wide audience with this one.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. Well, it's hard to talk about this movie without talking about, like, a little bit of the production. I mean, I feel like people know about Gorgeous if they haven't seen it themselves. Like, they have maybe heard about it, secondhand, and they definitely know about the fights in the movie. There's not a lot, but they know about that. But let's just talk about the production for a little bit. This was supposed to just be a rom-com. There wasn't supposed to be any sort of action whatsoever. Jackie was supposed to just produce it. It was kind of his baby, so you can blame him for a lot of the ideas in this movie. No, he was intentionally trying to make a very vanilla, non-violent movie. And that's even reflected in the action scenes themselves. So, like, he, when he's listening to a commentary, not commentary, the making of, as they're talking it through, it was within all the filmmaking ideas that, like, this is going to be a very pleasant experience. Vanilla as hell, even though the movie has Tony Leung in blackface for a second. But for the most part, like, it was supposed to just be a rom-com. But then because Jackie's part of it, they thought, well, we need to add some, like, marquee value to the audience. So we have to have some action in the movie. But thank goodness that there's some action. There's some action, because there's a tiny smidge of, like redeeming quality to it. Because the romance, hell, the rest of the movie is borderline unwatchable sometimes.
Oh yeah, it's god awful. So I want to go back a little bit to what you were saying about Shu-Chi. Yes, her character is a simpleton, but it's weird. When I was watching this, you could, if you were to just read the subtitles and, like, look at her acting, it's almost like they wrote this for like an 8-year-old girl. Like, this is not somebody who has a developed, mature adult brain, right?
Yeah.
Yes, like, she is that. She's lovelorn, she's a romantic. She dreams of love. She's aspiring to meet, her soulmates, and that's fine. But the way she's acting, it makes it feel like it makes it feel like she's mentally challenged. And I'm not trying to say that, like, in a demeaning way. Like, it almost comes across as that's what she's, like, trying to portray.
Yeah. Like, she has, like, little tantrums, and it's like It's like what Sean Penn in what was that movie that he was in? You know, like what they say, like whatever that saying was in
Tropic Thunder.
Yeah, like don't never go full. You know, that's kind of like when I watch her performance. Like, why is she acting like this? It seems really like borderline of out of poor taste. But it's supposed to be cute. You're supposed to like just go along with it. But she's so simple.
She's a child. She really is acting like a child. And I understand that there's the whole princess kind of thing going on, that kind of personality trait. And you can kind of see that in certain movies, but here it doesn't seem like she's that stuck-up princess. It seems like she's not smart enough to do certain things because she's a child, but she's not. She's an adult grown woman. So there's a huge disconnect going on here.
Right. It's bad. Okay, the performance itself, like I don't know if I would blame like her specifically. I've seen her do pretty well in other movies. I think it's just like the execution, like a whole like other pieces. The dialogue doesn't help whatsoever either. It really does, like she's given these really terrible lines to read off, which is like it portrays her as if she doesn't know what she's doing ever, and she just needs Jackie Chan to kind of like guide her at all times. That's another thing. So Jackie, like this is a big part, a big love project for him. Like it was his baby to make this film. You know, it's that says a lot because like when he actually wrote his own character into the story, he said like a lot of it kind of gleams off his real life. I thought that was just kind of like ridiculous because like I don't know, like he's kind of portrayed as a character who like has a lot of women in his life, but then he meets Shu-Chi, but she's also like simple. So I'm like, Jackie, I don't know that you shouldn't say
like what are you trying to say?
Yes.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. He's like a playboy, he trades stocks, he's a millionaire, everything about his life is so pristine and well put together. And he meets this woman who again, it's like those simple romantic tropes. She kind of throws a monkey wrench into his life, and he finds her interesting because she's different from all the other women that he's been with.
Different, but not in a good way.
Not in a good way.
Maybe like a special way. Not in like I find you, like engaging. It's more like I can kind of like not take advantage, but it says a lot. Anyway, I'm reading too deep into this. I don't like her character at all. She is like one of the characters that just like sticks around for the majority she's on screen like almost all the time, and I don't like the way that she's written. And we gotta talk about the runtime. It's 2 hours. It's 2 fucking hours.
Boy, this was a chore to get through. I just sat down, hunkered through, and so this isn't the first time I saw this movie, actually. So I saw this not long after Rumble in the Bronx came out, because once that movie started to become famous in the US, they started importing his other movies. This was on the shelf. I remember renting this on VHS and watching it and just being kind of bored with it too. I got the shorter English version, which condensed a lot. I had no idea Tony Leung was in this movie because he's practically gone from the American cut. Shu-Chi's other suitor who wants to marry her, his story is like kind of gone from it. They cut so much. Everything is so just edited. But after watching this, the original 2-hour version, when I went to rewatch the movie again, I watched the English dub because I didn't want to sit through it again.
All right. No, I don't blame you. I think I didn't watch the American dub because it is 30 minutes shorter. It's only an hour and a half. I probably should have just watched that version instead. But thankfully, I speak Cantonese, so Gorgeous is one of those movies you can just leave on in the background if you understand the language. You can just leave it on in the background when there's no action scenes, because there is nothing visually engaging ever in the non-action moments. When there's action, you're like, fine, obviously you want to be there and watch it, because I don't want to be completely negative about the movie, because the action's not so bad. And like specifically with any scenes with Brad Allen, and that's probably the reason why people even talk about this movie even to this day. Rest in peace, Brad Allen. But you know, that was like, this is like one of the movies that like kind of like defined his career, and I think it's such a great showcase of his talent and like the way that he worked off with Jackie. And there isn't a ton of action in this movie because it wasn't trying to be, but I think like those scenes are memorable for a reason.
Yeah. Well, I guess I would say there's 4 fights in this movie. Mm-hmm. Yes. And then the 2 with Brad Allen, they go long intentionally for story purposes. They go longer than a normal fight, which is nice. We get a lot of stuff with him, and it's weird. So I haven't seen this movie since I first watched it when I was in high school, when it first came to the U.S. So I had a notion of what I thought about that movie, or what I've been thinking about this movie from that initial experience. And then when I rewatched it, it's almost like one of those things where, I shouldn't have rewatched it because it was better in my mind.
Well, you had to rewatch it because we're talking about it today.
Well, exactly.
So you had no choice.
And you know what kind of sucks about constantly watching martial arts films is, now that I have a better eye for things, I am like seeing all the things that I don't like in things that I used to like.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. No, I
agree.
I agree.
It's crazy seeing Jackie speed ramping or, undercranking, speeding up his footage. Like, that was almost blasphemous when he was marketing himself, right? No wires, no stuntmen, all action.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
To see it, like, to see him, speed up his own footage and be wire assisted, it's a little weird, because I'm pretty sure he's wire assisted in a bunch of moments.
Oh, absolutely.
But I don't think Brad Allen is.
No. So that's one thing that like remember when I was a lot younger and I was actually introduced to this movie from another reviewer back when I was younger, and he would say like, oh yeah, Gorgeous has like one of the better fights, and I watched it, and like one thing that the reviewer said was, like it's a battle between like older versus like what do you do when you're taking out someone that's younger and faster than you, and that's kind of what you see in this movie. Like that's what the whole those two fights are about. But yeah, like at this point, Jackie is just coming off of Rush Hour, right? He's not, he's not in, it's not like he was when he was in the 80s, right? He's a little bit older now. He's starting to slow down a little bit, and he started to pull off some moves that I don't even think he did a lot of when he was younger. He does a bunch of, I was gonna save this for the action segment, but on a more broad spectrum, like he does some like jumping kicks, which I thought he's not really known for those. And like he's
like those jumping spinning kicks, you can see like a floatiness to them. And
yes,
it's a little distracting. Well, for me personally, because we're honing in on this choreography, and stuff like that is pulling me out of it a little bit. Even though I like the choreography, I don't like these kind of assistants that I feel he doesn't really need, but maybe I'm giving him too much credit.
Yeah, it's weird. I'm slightly forgiving of him. I mean, I have a bias, right? Because Jackie's Jackie. Not that he can't do no wrong, but I understand like because he's getting older at this point. So like I want to attribute a lot of that to like, he might need it to literally assist with like the actual performance. But I would say like just to play devil's advocate, yeah, maybe we should like tone down a little bit of the theatrics. Like if he can't do it, just do another stunt, right? Like create some other choreography around like what you can physically do. That's the counter argument to that. But I'd say if you're not like one of us, you won't notice it as much. Because I think I noticed it too when I was watching. I'm like, oh wow, he's floating for a little bit, and I just knew it had to be wire assisted. But I don't know. It's slightly excusable, just slightly, just barely. Is there anything else in the 90-minute version that were cut out? Because I don't know. Like I think maybe that's like the definitive version that we should watch going forward.
Yeah, I could. Well, I mean, for me personally, I could definitely say watch the 90-minute version just right now. Like, don't watch the 2-hour one unless you want more Shu-Chi. But this is not a good role for her. If you want more Tony Leung, it's okay. You know, he's like the gay sidekick, the one. Again, all these romantic tropes. You have the gay sidekick who is just building you up. He's basically taking care of Shu-Chi the whole movie, rent free. You know, giving her money. She's come over here as this kind of poor, not poor person, but he's literally just like throwing money at her. Like, here, get new clothes, do all this.
Yeah.
And realistically, you can't just go from one country to another with just like the clothes on your back and expect to survive. I mean, but she is Shu-Chi, so she is a very attractive woman. So I guess that's why she was able to do that too.
Oh, you're pretty. Okay, citizenship. Here you go. Here's your travel visa. All right, sure. Well, I'm assuming that they didn't cut out any of the action or tone that down. I'm sure that they kept the same in the American edit, as far as you can tell.
Yeah, as far as I can tell. So one of the things I wanted to note is during the fight scenes, particularly Brad Allen's fights, his two fights. You'll notice, like, the first time he fights him, there's kind of this mambo cha-cha rhythmic beat going on to give them
they're sizing each other up, right?
Yeah, when they're sizing each other up, they're kind of not dancing around each other. They're doing footwork around each other, right? And it has that kind of really, really simple beats. And then they go into the fights. But that music persists throughout the whole thing. In the American version, they actually score it. And it sounds more intense. It makes the fight feel more dramatic and interesting, actually.
Okay.
So I actually kind of preferred the American fights to the original because the American versions just seemed more dire. And it seemed like, he really has to win because the music is kind of dictating that.
Right. Well, I guess that makes sense. Like, why didn't go that approach with the original? Because it's not supposed to be intense. And there's the reason like why they're fighting at all in the movie, and it's not life or death. It's just literally just sparring matches between him and Brad Allen. So there's nothing at stake. It's just kind of like a pride thing. It's like, all right, I'm just gonna fight you because Jackie's in the movie. We need to have some action scenes, otherwise the audience is gonna throw popcorn or throw wontons at the screen. I don't know. So anyways, I guess we can talk about the action now because for God's sakes, like, what else could we talk about? Freaking gorgeous. The story is awful.
Sure.
Yeah, let's talk about the action.
You don't want to talk about the dolphins or?
Oh my God. The stupid. Like, what was the point of all that? Like, let's not talk.
Doesn't
about
matter. Doesn't matter.
There's
dolphins in the movie.
The CGI dolphins.
Her name's Boo. The dolphins in Taiwan apparently make a boo sound. Who fucking cares?
I don't know. Like, every time those dolphins screamed, I was like, what the fuck? What am I watching? Anyways, so yes, you can listen to our action segment if you follow us on Patreon. And now we're going to talk about the 4 fights that are in this movie. Hey guys, thanks for listening to the podcast. We're at the point where we give our recommendations, but there's a whole wealth of audio you would be listening to here if you follow us on Patreon. There you can listen to the entire episode, including an exclusive action breakdown of the fights in the movie. And now on to our final thoughts.
And that's gorgeous.
That's gorgeous.
Ugh. I mean,
it's somewhere in between. The Oh, this is a tough one. I mean, okay.
Really?
Well, no. It's a tough. Okay. The verdict is obvious. It's a tough one if I say that the fights are good or great, whatever. Like everything I just said before in the action segment. Don't watch the movie. Don't watch the movie. That's my verdict on the movie. Like for sure. Like I think the movie is borderline unwatchable. Maybe not. Okay, maybe not that hyperbolic. It's not a good movie. The fights are okay. For the most part, when he's fighting Brad Allen, that's when it starts getting good. But it's more like a showcase of Brad Allen versus like a Jackie Chan, like what Jackie's capable of doing. I'd say like if you want to see Jackie at his prime, obviously this isn't the movie you want to watch for that. I'd say if you wanted to see Brad Allen like showcase what he was like at his prime, and he wasn't in a lot of movies where he was like showing his face. This is obviously a perfect example. But yeah, parts of those fights are not that good, and I don't want to spoil what we talked about in the action segment, but the comedy is just it gets in the way, and that's just really unfortunate. I'd say again, just to keep it more succinct, just go watch those 2 fight scenes. Don't watch the movie, and you don't have to watch the movie. You're not missing anything. It's a 0. Are you?
I mean everything you said. I agree with everything you said. I maybe you could watch the American dub. I mean, it's weird. It's not Jackie Chan doing the dub, surprisingly, because he did Rumble in the Bronx. So I don't know why he didn't do his dub.
Sure.
Because on the DVD, he does the commentary. Well, I mean, I guess that comes afterwards. So
okay,
it's just odd. He's not voicing himself. It's it's just someone else. But the American dub is so much easier to get through. I recall now that Shu Chi's character wasn't as annoying. She wasn't as dumb. She was just she's like, her character is like really, really written down. So you're not getting any of that annoyance that we had from the uncut version. So it might be a little more stomachable for some people. Like if you're just
okay.
If you're if you're trying to watch all his filmography, like I kind of would recommend just watching the dub over the uncut version. It's just so much easier to sit through because the story is it's not enjoyable. It's not fun.
I don't know how else to end this, but like everything you said, I'm curious to watch the dub if it's really worth it. Don't watch a movie.
So one thing I was thinking about, I saw a documentary maybe like 4 or 5 years ago about Jackie Chan. He was like part of this project. I can't remember the details, but he was part of this project where this team was tasked with making a machine that turned glass bottles into kind of like a sand-like material, so that you could turn it into like bricks that could be stacked, for houses or whatnot, used for something, for building homes. And I think like recently, in recent years, like he's shown that he wanted to be like more environmentally friendly, because he realized after making all of these movies, like he cited when he made Dragon Blade, that they had so many empty bottles of water for the staff that he was like kind of upset, because he realized that it's not good for the earth, all this plastic. And so he went about trying to be more environmentally friendly. So he did that project. He worked on that project. So when we go back to this movie now, it's 1999, you realize, he kind of had that in his mindset, because he works for this kind of like recycling company and whatnot. But the movie ends with him polluting the Taiwanese seaside with bottles filled with love notes. It just completely undercutting like everything he stood for and everything he would stand for in the future. What was he thinking?
I forgot that's how the movie ends. Because that was so stupid. I was like, oh my god, this is written for like 8-year-old girls. Mind you, the director is Vincent Koch. It's Koch in Cantonese. But I know him best for the guy who takes a shit in front of an elevator in God of Cookery. So I'm always gonna think of that when I think of this movie. It's like, yep, that's how I wrote the script. He said it was his passion project.
Oh god, yeah. Watch God of Cookery instead.
Yeah. Oh my god, yes.